Guess who's back in the house? I hope that you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I just watched episode 2 of Pose, the new season, and this episode was brilliant from the first scene to the last scene. And one of my favorite moments from this show is when we get a glimpse into the house of veracity, and we have the two house mothers and their members, and we have 6 different trans women of color on screen at the same time in the same space. It's incredible. What a wonderful time to be alive. There are millions of young trans people in the world who they can look on TV, look on their cell phone, their mobile device, and see themselves reflected. That is incredible. And so Janet Mock actually wrote tonight's episode, and I want to applaud her. Every scene just set us up for the final scene. So we start with a ballroom scene where Lulu Ferocity is in this kind of like bralette top with a tulle gown, and basically she walks in and she holds up her finger to say, wait a minute, I'm not done. She starts kind of like removing the tulle, and she takes it off completely, and it is standing up on its own. And so this is actually inspired by Hector Extravaganza. I don't know the year, but this is a look that he did for ballroom. I want to say early 90s, and that's important to remember. And so she takes it off. She has on this kind of like these body hugging like leggings underneath, and then she grabs a pair of sunglasses. Somebody like hands her sunglasses, and so this kind of like starts us off for the episode. Elektra is with them, and Pray Tell gives her praise for shining her light on the House of Ferocity. And so she tells her daughters that she has to leave to go to work. And she's actually working at an S&M club, and this is how she has been making her money, and how she has been able to really give a boost to her fur collection. And so I'm kind of curious to see where this storyline goes, because we're kind of like told that she gets into trouble somehow with the S&M club. And so fast forward, Blanca is trying to get her own nail salon, and so her daughter Angel dresses her to meet Miss Norman, who is the largest female real estate owner in New York. And so Miss Norman makes this comment that she doesn't normally rent to someone who's darker than her Aunt Lily, but she's had good business dealings with Dominicans. And so Blanca actually has first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit in cash, and she gives it to Miss Norman, and so she now has her own storefront nail salon. And so this was incredible. So I really love that moment. Um, Fast forward, Damon's boyfriend, Ricky, comes back home from the tour with Albie Shore, and Blanca catches them mid-act and she tells them that Derek has died. I don't remember this Derek character from last season. I assume that he was in the ballroom community. And so the family goes to the funeral, and Blanca is having a conversation with Sandra Bernhardt's character, the nurse. And the nurse asks her if she's taking the HIV medication. She tells her no, and she says that she feels like she deserved to get this disease with all of these people that she knows that are dying all around her. And the nurse tells her that she cannot give in, and that she needs to start taking this medication in order to survive. And so Blanca tells everyone in the family that she got the storefront, and they're really excited for her, but she's really upset that Damon and Ricky and the other two male house members are not there. Fast forward, they're at the house. The group of four guys, they show up, and Blanca demands to know, where were you? And so they tell her that they were at the pier voguing, and a crowd kind of like built up around them, and they really were taken aback that these kind of like non-people of color were really cheering them on, and they were mesmerized by them. And she says that, she was really upset and let down that they didn't show up to the funeral. And they told her that Vogue is going to be bigger than Studio 54. And she makes an important statement saying that, Vogue is not a trend, and ballroom is about family and community, and they let their family down. And so fast forward back to the House of Veracity with all of the members at the dinner table. Elektra asks if she can get a larger closet space, and the two house mothers say no, that she is a guest in their home. Elektra has a dramatic monologue and tells the girls that she has been trying to cater to her children, and that she has really become soft, and that she is going to go back to her old ways of being abusive and just very aggressive and hostile with her children. This part kills me. She yanked the cloth off of the dinner table, and one of the house mothers says, "What is this?" And she says it's her new signature move. Elektra really plays her character well. Like, I live for her. I was really kind of like, I was gasping for breath. I was gagging. I wasn't sure where they were going to go with that. And so Elektra goes all around town to find new kids for her house, the House of Winter, and she gives them Cartier gifts. And she recruits a white trans girl whose real name is Trace. And Trace is the overall mother of the House of Mizrahis. But Trace actually plays on Transparent on Hulu, and I'm not sure if she's actually really involved in the ballroom scene now that she's becoming a major actress. And so we get to another ball scene, and it's kind of like, the category is kind of like fictional romance and fairy tales. During the House of Verocity's presentation, the House of Wintour storms the category, and so it's a Cinderella, what is it called? Oh my gosh. God, I'm blanking on the name, but basically kind of like it's this presentation about Cinderella, which is really cool with Laomi. And it was actually really well produced, the production. And so the lights go off in the space, and the house storms in, and they are kicked out by Pray Tell. And so the house was heated, but they say, watch out because we're coming with a vengeance. So fast forward, Miss Norman, the Blanca's new landlord, is having a photo shoot with a reporter from a local newspaper. Her son walks in after collecting rent from tenants. So Miss Norman excuses the reporter. He tells her that Blanca is transgender. So she tells him that Blanca has to go. And so unfortunately, he takes, I guess, a partial amount of money that was given back to Blanca and tells her that she has to vacate the premises. And so Blanca is telling this story to Pray Tell, and she's telling him that, you know, she was foolish and naive because she didn't get Miss Norman to sign a contract. She just gave her cash, and he basically tells her that she needs to fight for her rights and stand up for herself. And so she also tells him that Ricky and Damon are having unprotected sex. And so he tells her that she needs to stand up for herself and set an example for Damon and Ricky. Fast forward, it's a new day. Miss Norman pulls up in her stretch limousine, I think it's a Cadillac, and she storms into the nail salon and tells Blanca that she is trespassing. Blanca tells her that she has sought legal representation that is pro bono, and she will fight her with her every breath. And Miss Norman tells her that she has, I think she says like the best Jews from Harvard and Yale, that they will fight her in court, but she also has like Russians who will get aggressive with her, and Blanca says, bring it. I started tearing up at this point because this show is just so important to the LGBT community. Gosh, we have like a trans superhero in Blanca, and I hope that MJ Rodriguez plays Blanca. I hope that she gets an Emmy nomination for the work that she is doing on this show. Like, I felt that in my gut, like what she was saying. Like, she wasn't just standing up for herself, she was standing up for all trans women. In 1990 in New York, New York was going through a major transformation where it was being gentrified. People could no longer afford to live in certain parts of New York, and there was kind of like this major kind of like makeover of like Times Square to make it look like and feel like Disneyland. And so, oh gosh, I loved that scene. And so we move to the Eros Ball, and of course the House of Wintour storms in the category which is high fashion with feathers. So one of the new girls, she has a hammer in her hand, which is hilarious because in the previous scene, one of the house mothers from Veracity pulled a hammer out on Elektra, and Elektra had a knife. So Elektra's new daughter has a hammer to break open a shell to reveal Elektra. And even though Elektra wasn't wearing feathers, she wins the category. And Pretel talks to Blanca and says that, even though Blanca didn't win the category, but she is a business owner and she's standing up for herself, and she is going to win the businesswoman of the year because she's fighting for her family and trans women in the workplace. And that really felt good because it applies to real life. Like, I applaud all trans people who are not afraid to stand up for their rights. Because sometimes we are really kicked down in society for being who we are and living in our truth. And there was a great moment when Pretel told Blanca that gay black boys are not told that they're loved enough. They're not told to be confident in themselves. And so this episode was just powerful. And we end with a comment on family. And Blanca is sitting around the dinner table with all of her kids, and she says that we can do anything as long as we have each other. And I thought that was a great way to end the episode. And then we get a quote. The quote says, "Blood does not family make. Those are relatives. Family are those with whom you share your good, bad, and ugly, and still love one another in the end. Those are the ones you select." And it's a quote from Hector Extravaganza, who actually recently passed away. And so this episode was dedicated to him. Gosh, that is so sad. He had a wonderful career in ballroom and is one of the individuals featured in Jenny Livingston's documentary, Paris is Burning. And I believe he was in Madonna's music video for Vogue. And so this concludes the review of the second episode of the second season of Pose. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. I forgot to thank all of my new subscribers. I hope that you guys are loving the content that I'm putting out. Please feel free to share this video with your family and friends. And until next time, have a beautiful day. Besos.